think though, Jamie, that going to games isn't just about the football; it's about the experience, meeting your mates. It's
Oh yes,
I agree with you. You know, if it did end up with the Premier League as being like a second standard competition because we were gearing up for the midweek games all the time, then maybe that could be a problem. But we've had that anyway with the Champions League. I don't see football wise why that would change.
well, the simple fact is that if we don't need to finish in the top four,
Hmm.
top four has been massive on our agenda for the last 10 years or so, where we're a few points off the top four, and there's a real drive to get into the top four to qualify for that competition. But
Yeah,
where's the incentive to push on? And I don't see where the incentive is. It's going to kill the competitiveness from my
yeah,
perspective, and it's going to shatter the dream of the likes of your Bournemouth coming up from League One, League Two, and having the dream of Porto would never have won the Champions League if this was in place.
no, you're right,
It
and
just restricts many opportunities, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah, you're totally right. And of course, teams like Leicester, West Ham at the moment, who are looking to play in the Champions League next year, they're trying to get into the top four now. They could quite easily just be doing that all in vain because if this August they wish to roll out this European Super League, then the Champions League won't really be a competition worth anybody playing in
The
because you're not going to
champion,
be playing the top clubs.
Well, the Champions League becomes the Europa League, and the Europa League will become the Intertoto Cup. And it's just the whole. There's just a dilution of
Yeah, yeah.
the whole thing, the whole game, really, which is sad, really.
It is sad. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Simon.
No. So I mean, I've heard a fair bit about it today, but let's just kind of, I suppose, let's just get some things out here, so I might make sure I'm clear. So this isn't something for next season anyway. It's something for, was it 2 years time, maybe 2024, 25, something?
No, that was the revamp of the Champions League.
Right.
So the European Super League is rumoured that they want it to start ASAP.
Right.
Yeah.
There's even talk of the Champions League games that are happening next week of UEFA stopping the teams getting involved in it. I mean, At the moment, the irony is of the four remaining semi-finalists, only PSG haven't come forward for this. So, right. I mean, the fact that Pochettino could win the Champions League on what's effectively an admin error, is quite something.
The irony is not lost.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? That means he could come back to Spurs as a Champions League winner.
Straight back.
We wanted him back, and he will have won. He will have won the Champions League, at PSG, and then he can come back to Spurs, the soulless bowl that it will become.
But that whole point that Jamie brought up there about the fact that we don't need to get in the top four anymore is just so soul destroying, isn't it? Because
I think it's moving towards franchise, though, isn't it? Of like American sport, there's no, how long is it before the Chinese Super League champions are parachuted in for a year, or the MLS champions and what have you, and then players start getting switched around. I mean, it's the sporting merit of it that I think. And I kind of sense checked this earlier and thinking, right, well, maybe 30 years ago, people felt like this about the Premier League, and for albeit for its detractors, I think the Premier League, by and large, you think about how safe stadiums are now, albeit the price have gone up ridiculously and so on. And then I just thought, well, no, it's the sporting merit. The Premier League, as Jamie says, Bournemouth or whoever can rise up through the leagues and be in the Premier League. I mean, as much as it would be disgusting to see it, West Ham can be in the Champions League next year. Do I want West Ham in the Champions League? No. Do West Ham deserve to be in the Champions League if they finish above us in the league table? Absolutely. So, what more can you say?
It's fair. It's just fairness, isn't it? And that's all that matters, really. That's what the European Super League doesn't give us. It's just not on any level fair. Steve?
Yeah, I think just to pick up on that point that Carl made, I think it's interesting because I don't know if any of you watched the Monday Night Football, and you would have seen probably yesterday Gary Neville ranting on about it and making really good arguments about it. But for me, like I have to question the motivation behind the anger that they're showing, because he's a Sky employee representing Sky, representing a body that are not involved in the negotiations for this. Now, if they were involved in the negotiations for this, you would hear fuck all from them about how bad it is and how upset it is and how it's destroying. And Carl talks about like the Premier League, and when the Premier League came in and the Champions League, when they had the rights and everything for the Champions, I don't think this is not stated enough, and I can't overemphasize this enough, but when the Champions League came in, it replaced the European Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup disappeared, right? That was up to the detriment of the FA Cup and our domestic cups that have never recovered, and people downplay it and talk about it and talk about we're in a League Cup final on Sunday, and everyone, for as long as I can remember, since we've qualified, has said it's a shit competition. No one cares about that competition. Why? When did that change? That changed from when the Premier League came in and Sky and that downplayed the significance of things like this. And all of a sudden, they're no longer getting their share of the pie, and that is why they're suddenly angry about it. And like Gary Neville talked about Man United today, and he talked about how the Glazers have destroyed Man United and all this sort of stuff. But he also talked about the fact that he did fuck all and he said nothing when the Glazers were destroying the club when they took over years ago, and all their fans were saying about the Glazers this, the Glazers that, and he had his trough, he had his nose right in the trough, and he was benefiting from it, and he was getting money out of it, and he's got his career and everything like that. He's got his millions, and it meant nothing. He didn't have to say fuck all at that point, and all of a sudden, because he's getting nothing out of it, and because they stand to lose out, now he's outraged, and that's what's made me absolutely furious. And you've got people on social media, right on Gary, right on Carragher. Like, what about 30 years ago when they were the ones that benefited, and when be upset, but be upset for genuine reasons, not because actually you stand to lose out. Right? If you're genuinely upset, then be upset for those reasons. But I think a lot of it is about what we stand to lose out. Why we stand to lose out, that's why I'm outraged. Sorry, Sarah.
Oh, I've never seen him.
I was just going to say, don't forget he's now a football club owner in the bottom leagues, and he's invested a lot of money in that club, and he is set to, he was building his team to go into the Premier League. That's what he wanted. Exactly. And now all of a sudden, all of that infrastructure has gone away. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. And how were they doing that? They were doing that on the back of money. They weren't. They were doing to Salford at a lower level what Mansour has done at Man City.
Totally right. What Abramovich has done. Yeah.
What's been done at Crawley. All of these clubs. Don't tell me that you give a fuck. You don't give a fuck. You only give a shit because your investment is now at risk. Yeah. That is why he gives a shit. That is why he's suddenly outraged. We all need to monopolise, and we all need to speak up and all that. Yes, we do.
Yeah, you're totally right, Steve.
Years ago, when we should have been speaking up then, when you destroyed English football from that point, that was the point that English football was destroyed. Not now. 30 years ago when the Premier League came in and you fucked up English football with the FA Cup, fucked up the League Cup, fucked up all of that format, because you were standing to benefit from it.
And of course, Neville doesn't bring up the point about Man United not playing in the FA Cup for one season because they went off and played the World Super Cup. And, that was another instance where Man United really screwed things up. That was terrible. That was terrible. Anyway, but from my point of view, if the European Super League goes ahead, of course, what's happening is that the Premier League is saying you won't be able to play in the Premier League, you'll be banned. FIFA is saying your players won't be able to play for your international sides. UEFA is saying you won't be able to play in the Champions League, which I don't quite understand, because there wouldn't be a Champions League for them to play in. They'd be playing in their own one. But apart from UEFA, I don't see how this is actually going to be sustainable for the Premier League to ban these clubs, because they'll need the money flowing in from these clubs into the Premier League. And also FIFA make all their money out of the World Cup. So if you ban all the best players in the world, which will be playing for these 20-odd clubs, then the World Cup's going to be an even cheaper, less valuable item, isn't it? It's just not going to get the sponsorship. So
that's the thing.
I don't quite buy into all this kind of emotion about all these rather draconian things happening, like banning teams, banning players.
It's like Brexit all over again, isn't it?
It is a bit, it's just misinformation.
I mean, obviously, if the Premier League were to ban the likes of, Arsenal, United, Liverpool, Spurs, look how many viewers they've got across the world, places like Africa, places like India, where there's millions and millions of United, Liverpool supporters. The Premier League's going to crumble. But when you actually think about it, I mean, what a fucking selfish thing the Big 12 clubs have done, where they're potentially undermining the entire football world. The Spanish league is going to go to shit. I mean, the Spanish league is shit anyway. I mean, you can only name probably 4 or 5 teams. The rest are. What's going to
change? I don't even see what's going to change in La Liga, because the top teams always go into the Champions League, and it never changes. They always win La Liga, don't they? So
it's a bit like the Scottish, a bigger Scottish league, really, isn't it? Where you've got 3 or 4 really big teams, and the rest are just shit. But it has got the. I mean, obviously, the Big 12 teams, and especially the 6 teams in England, they would have had legal advice from the top QCs in the country. They've done their homework on this.
Yep.
And it does really, really make me worried about where the game is going, and the fact that all of us have bought into football from such a young age. We were born into it. And, it just feels like, you've had the carpet swept from under your feet, really, and the whole of your existence and your life is, we've invested so much personally, mentally, financially into football for, it could all be gone. Footballers, we know it, banging on about the Premier League coming in and that, but, this European Super League has the potential to absolutely kick the shit out of the Premier League in terms of the detriment that it will have and the knock-on effect. So it's bollocks, isn't it?
Carl, you going to say?
I mean, what's quite interesting is there's rumours that 1 or 2 clubs, and I can't remember. I think Spurs might have been one of them. That there were rumours that ex-players were being briefed not to comment on it. So obviously, maybe this taps into like the Gary Nevilles and so on. But his Sky pay his wages, not Man United. But Klopp, it came up breaking news about 20, 30 minutes ago, saying that Klopp doesn't agree with it. And I mean, ironically, it makes you wonder what Jose would be saying about this evening. I'm sure he'd have had an opinion on it had he still been in employment.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought Klopp's comments were very interesting. I think he said that he didn't know anything about it, doesn't particularly agree with it, wants a meeting ASAP with John What's-his-name at Fenway, and obviously wants to talk about it. So... there's going to be some issues.
Klopp can walk away from Liverpool and walk straight into a job in Germany again on 10 or 12 million quid a year. So for him, it doesn't matter. But I think Sarah's got her hand up, so I won't.
Yes, Sarah.
I think you're right, and I don't know whether some of the rumours on social media today were right or not. But when I found out Jose had gone, and it was supposedly for refusing to train the players because he disagreed with the decision, I was a little bit angry, because I was like, "Damn you! You wanted out before that cup final. You knew you were going to be embarrassed. He knew he was going to be embarrassed on Sunday. He knew we'd likely lose, and he didn't want to." Have the you went to Spurs and you said you were going to make them winners, and you couldn't make them winners. So for me, if that is the case and that is what happened, he's used it to get out of the cup final.
It's not the case. That's just a load of bollocks. So it's just rumor that's been fed out there. But the rumor was basically started because training started late, and reason training started late was because the players had to be informed that he'd been removed. So it wasn't that that he refused to go out on the pitch. The track it's just that they were being informed. So it would have been. But by the same token, from the point that you make, the general point that you make, is totally valid. Actually, that irrespective of the way it's happened, the fact that he's not